recap, a quick summary of what has been covered so far. There are certain nitya karmas, that is daily actions which needs to be done every day, and one such nitya karma is doing daily tarpanam. So far we've only covered category 1 of tarpanam, which is for your pitrus, that is ancestors. I asked you to do the basic level pitru tarpanam, which covers the last 3 generations of your ancestors, and I asked you to do this for 1 month. After that, you can go to the intermediate level pitru tarpanam, where you do it for 21 generations, and I asked you to do this for 2 months. And after that, you can proceed even further to the last 100 generation of your ancestors, and I asked you to do this for a total of 2 months. So at the end of 5 months, you would have covered approximately 100 previous generation of your pitrus, both maternal and paternal. Now before going on to today's topic, what time is it? Correct answer, time for a bit of theoretical understanding. After doing the basic level of Pitru Tarpanam for 1 month, when you proceed to the intermediate level where you offer Tarpanam to the last 21 generation of your ancestors, here in this 21 generation, the last 3 generation of your ancestors are also included. You haven't forgotten about them, you haven't left them behind, you haven't stopped doing Tarpanam for them. So realize this. In the same way, when you offer Tarpanam to the last 100 generation of your ancestors, in this 100 generation, the last 21 generation of your pitrus and the last 3 generation of your pitrus are also included. You are covering all of them. You're not leaving behind anybody. Realize this before you go to the advanced level of Tarpanam. You are including all of your pitrus, both maternal and paternal family, and you're not forgetting anybody. Example number 1. In the outer world, in the materialistic world, when you want to build a house, the first thing that you do is to lay the foundation. Now, if it's not just a ground floor house, if it's, for example, say a 10 floor or a 15 floor building, then accordingly the foundation has to be laid stronger, because only a strong foundation can withstand a high rise building. Now, in spirituality, it doesn't work that way. In fact, it's the opposite. The lighter karmic baggage you have, the freer you are, the faster you can progress in spirituality. This is the reason why it is said you have to do daily tarpanam. Right now, we are just talking about the first category of tarpanam, tarpanam to your pitrus, to your ancestors. There are still 3 other categories of tarpanam that you have to do every day. Once you begin to do daily tarpanam, and once you are free of all your obligations to all these people, and then if you enter spirituality, especially agora, then you can progress very fast. Example number 2. This example is based on how the school system is in India. If you want to enroll a child in a school, there are certain schools where all the way from LKG, that is all the way from lower kindergarten up to 12th standard, the child can study in the same school, because that school has received authorization and approval from the government to enroll students up to class 12. There are certain schools where permission is granted only up to 5th standard. So if a child wants to study, go to 6th standard, then the child has to go to a different school. Again, there are certain schools where permission is granted from the government only up to class 10. So if a child wants to go to the 11th standard, then you have to go to a different school. Now, why did I give the example of the school setup in India? It is to help people who are unfamiliar with the term Gotram to understand how spirituality works. Now, Gotram, the approximate English translation would be family or lineage. Now, you are born in a certain family, in a certain Gotram. There are certain people in your family who have attained the highest spiritual level in that family. And such people, such a person is usually the spiritual head of your family. In other words, the rishi, or what's called the adibadi in Tamil, which means the head of the family. Now, remember I gave you an example where certain schools in India have permission only to teach up to class 5? Well, if you are born in a family where your spiritual head of the family is able to uplift you only up to class 5, no problem. First, you finish learning up to class 5. Finish learning all that you can from your family member, and then Once you have done so, and once you have earned the blessing to go further, then you can. Remember, I gave you another example where some schools have permission to teach up to class 10. Well, some people, through their own efforts, are able to progress even further than what their family spiritual head has been able to. And such people, they are able to uplift their descendants even further. So, if you are born in such a family, good, no problem. Finish learning up to class 10. Finish learning all that you can from your spiritual head of the family. And once you have earned their blessings, they will be able to uplift you and send you further. And remember, I gave you another example where certain schools, you can go all the way from LKG to 12th standard. Well, there are certain people, certain heads of the family who are descendants of what's called the Saptarishis, the 7 great sages. Why are they called Saptarishis? Because they have what's called in Hinduism the Brahmanyanam, meaning knowledge of the self, knowledge of the soul. And if you are a descendant of such a family member, if you are a descendant of such a Rishi, then your spiritual head of the family can uplift you all the way from LKG to 12th standard. And once you have earned the blessing of this Rishi, then you will be able to enter spirituality very easily and you will be able to progress very quickly. This is another reason why the number one step of spirituality is earn the blessings of your ancestors. Once you have earned their blessings and they have uplifted you to the maximum extent that they can, then you have permission to leave that family and go even further. Today's topic, advanced level of pitru tarpanam. Using the same procedure as the basic level of pitru tarpanam, same ingredients, same sitting direction, same position, everything is the same. But now you're going to offer tarpanam to the last 1 lakh generation of your pitrus, both maternal and paternal. How long should you be doing this? Do this for about 6 months. So after approximately 1 year since you've started doing tarpanam, you would have covered about 1 lakh previous generation of your pitrus, both maternal and paternal. That is the minimum requirement that you have to do in order to earn the blessings of your pitrus in order to leave family. What is the maximum level of previous generations that you can go? That is up to you. After a year, what you can do is from about 1 lakh, go further back to about 10 lakh previous generation of your pitrus. Do this for about 6 months. And after that, go further back to about 1 crore previous generation of your pitrus. Do this for another 6 months. So you have to keep going further back to cover as many generation of your pitrus as possible. How far you go, that is up to you. Points to remember. Point number 1. Now, it would have been 1 year since you started doing daily pitru tarpanam and you would have covered about 1 lakh previous generation of your pitrus. Now, just because you ask them for blessings doesn't mean that the blessings will come right away. For some people, it might. For some, it may not. It all depends and it varies from person to person, depending upon each person's karmic baggage and depending upon the debt that you owe to your pitrus. So one cannot compare results with each other. How will you know that your debt has been repaid? You will begin to see changes in your life. Point number 2. One has to earn the blessings of a minimum of 1 lakh previous generation of your pitrus in order to leave the family that you are born into. That is the minimum. What is the maximum? It's up to you. How far how far back you want to go is up to you. But the minimum requirement is 1 lakh previous generations of your pitrus. Point number 3. So far, we have only covered category 1 of tarpanam, that is the pitru tarpanam. There are still 3 other categories of tarpanam which you have to do every day. Once you have earned the blessings of all these 4 categories of people, then and only then can you enter spirituality, especially Aghora. Now, if you've earned the blessings of previous 1 lakh generation of your pitrus and you then enter spirituality and you're given a mantra, and even after repeated trying, you're not able to master it, But another student is able to master that very quickly. Perhaps it could be because you've only earned the blessings of the previous 1 lakh generation of your Pitrus. But that student, she's been able to earn the blessings of the last 1 lakh crore of her ancestors. So she's put in the time, the extra effort to go further back in her lineage and earn that many generation of ancestors' blessings. So she is able to see results quicker than you. There are many factors which come into play, which is why I only give the minimum previous generations that is required for you to leave family. Point number 4. As you continue to do your daily tarpanams and you train your mortal body to remain at zero, and you're able to withstand all those energies, that is the blessings that comes to you from your pitrus, you are in a position where when you advance spiritually, your mortal body is able to withstand the higher energies that come from the other categories of people. Why? Because you've trained your body to remain at zero. And only when you remain at zero can you progress further. Now, approaching God or Goddess, approaching the divine is, divine is at infinity. And only when you in the sense when your mortal body is at zero, can you approach infinity.